Alright, welcome back guys. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start detailing some of these particular clothing assets. So we're going to go back to the Marvelous Designer garments. We're going to look at the shirt, the trousers and the vest, and we're basically going to sculpt them to completion. And that's the idea there. And then we'll start swinging around to some of the other elements like the boots, the gloves, the lacy collar and the belts and the satchel, etc, etc. Okay, so actually what I've done here is I've just gone ahead and I've sort of pre-compiled a list of references. Now I'll just kind of zoom out so you can see them all there. So it's a couple of trouser references and a bunch of shirt references. And you might be thinking, well, isn't that quite little for trousers? And yeah, it is. But you can see also from our sculpt and from our Marvelous Designer work that the trousers are the part of the clothing that have benefited the most from the Marvelous Designer workflow. And in the kind of process of actually going through and kind of restoring that kind of full detail, we actually did quite a lot of work already. So the heavy lifting has been done. We're just going to add a few bits and bobs here and there. Okay, so the trousers haven't got that many references, but the shirt, however, yes, we've got a lot of crumples and stuff around the elbows and whatnot, but I do want some longer ones that kind of shoot up towards the armpit area there. And we could also do some sort of light folds around this strap on this particular arm here. Okay, so that's the kind of goal there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the shirt. And my goal with the shirt for now is just to kind of put this to one side. But you might notice that compared with the Marvelous Designer folds, a lot of these look quite round and smoothed. So kind of what we did with the trousers to a degree, we kind of went through with the damn standard brush and started kind of creasing some of these folds. I'll just kind of bump it up to the highest subdivision. So we got some sharp-ish folds there, but the shirt is still very kind of goopy. So that's something that we need to go in and kind of fix a little bit. We'll keep it on subdivision level 2. Okay, so again, not really looking at the references just yet because we're not adding any new strokes. We're just going through and kind of highlighting some of the ones we've already got there. And our tool of choice is going to be the damn standard brush. Okay, every time I say that, it's like I'm swearing at the damn standard brush. But no, I have the utmost respect for the damn standard brush. Okay, so you just want to go ahead and kind of, I recommend staying quite far away from the overall model, just so it's easier to pick out some of the more key folds that you want to kind of crease a bit more. So you can see here I've got some pretty sharp creases going on here, but if I'm zooming in super close, I'll just kind of lose it because I'm too far in. But if I'm out here, I can sort of see right here, I want this to be a nice kind of sharp folded edge there, so I'll just sort of bring that in like such, and I can do that because I'm much further away from the actual arm sleeve. Okay, and over here as well, as you start kind of losing some of that Marvelous Designer sculpt, feel free to use a damn standard brush and carry on with the fold a little bit. Again, I talked briefly about that when we were restoring some of the folds. Okay, so I'm going over most of the folds here, but of course the expectation is not to go over every single fold. It's just the key folds you kind of want to stick out essentially. You have to think about the normal map. So when the normal map is generated with the low poly and the high poly kind of sat on top of one another, you basically want to give priority to the nicest folds in your character mesh, okay, so that the normal map picks that up first and foremost before pretty much anything else. And that's what this kind of damn standard brush idea and this process is for, is it's making it particularly kind of sharp and edgy so that it kind of picks that up a little bit more. So you can see that it's a little bit crumpled. It looks more like it's kind of sharpened now. I'm just going to come in smooth just very slightly just to introduce the thickness of the fabric back, because obviously the shirt is got a certain fabric thickness to it. So you don't want it crisp, but you do want it not goopy looking is the best way I can kind of explain it to you. Okay, and for here we've got a fold here. Now our gloves aren't quite finished yet, okay, but we can start to pencil in where they're going to be. So it's now time to start making a decision on how much of the kind of glove kind of comes into the shirt. So basically I'm going to use that line of polys there. You see I'm sort of drawing in on it there, essentially there, to be the cutoff point for where the gloves kind of get slotted into. And I'm purposely using the damn standard brush here to increase the kind of lip that it hangs over there, just so I can push the glove into there quite nicely. I'm just going to use the inflate brush and just gently inflate that to give it a bit more volume so it looks a bit consistent. And then let's go back to bringing the glove in, and you can see here that what I want to do is kind of push away that area underneath. Okay, so just there. You don't want this area here, you just want the very top edge, and you can kind of deflate that away if you like. Okay, and then of course we want the outermost edge here, but in here you can just, let's solder that. Let's get a right angle on this, rotate it a bit more, and let's just draw a mask there so we don't get any of that, and we'll just kind of push them away too. Okay, so the glove should be slotting in a little bit more nicely. Oops, we want to use the inverse of that. Okay, and of course once you've got the line defined, you want to use your move brush to essentially actually let's use the move topological. There we go. So we want to just kind of bring that down, and you can use a fairly large size. So just try and keep it consistent all the way around, and then just tuck the sleeve in like so. Okay, and any other sections, just go all the way around it, just check. Okay, and that's kind of tucked in nicely there. We can see a little bit creeping out there. It's always worth masking the top layer, and then just pushing them in. Let's solder that out so you can get a better angle there. Smoothing it can help sometimes. There we go. Okay, so the glove looks much more kind of fitted in now, if that makes sense. Yep. And again, the gloves are not finished yet, so we don't have to worry about that too much. I will just carry that seam on round this corner here. Just use a damn standard brush. There we go. And again, I'll use the inflate brush again just to give that a bit of volume. There we go. And anywhere else that looks a bit inconsistent. So here we've got quite a chunky bit for some reason. So just smooth that away. And I'll use my move topological brush. There we go. Okay, let's actually droop that. Let's droop that down a bit. There we go. Okay, so if you look at it there, it looks like the glove, sorry, the shirt is sitting over the very top edge of the glove there. That's the effect that we want. Okay. Next part here, let's carry on. Let's kind of introducing some of the undulations here. Okay, we'll just stick on this arm for now. So I'm just creating some light undulations where I did last time. I'm still working on subdivision level 2, and just kind of exaggerate some of these areas because we did get a little bit lost as we were kind of restoring them, strangely enough. Okay, so just bringing in the standard brush there and just working through some of that detail. Okay, right, let's stop it there for now. We'll jump over to the other sleeve and we'll basically repeat that process. We'll take the damn standard brush, move a bit away from the sculpt, and pick out key edges you want to sort of draw the, I guess, the viewer's attention to, or the player's attention to. It's like, wow, look at those folds. Oh, those look so cool and they look so realistic. So let's make those nice folds kind of pop to life with a damn standard brush. I mean, let's go a bit lower size, smaller size. Let's get that edge there. Let's get it round, and then you can kind of carry it on. You see, it's kind of fun just kind of picking out these edges. And I say, just being very sort of loose about it. You can see I'm not being too fussy. I'm just kind of going through, and just if an edge or a fold takes my fancy, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll kind of enhance it. Okay, and then I'll maybe use the regular damn standard brush just to highlight or emphasize a particular fold as well at this stage. Okay, make sure we don't get the bottommost edges. And again here, so this particular curl here, it's kind of smooth. Let's make it a bit more straight because the fabric isn't that thick. Okay, so fabric is this fabric in particular depends what your shirt's made out of, but the shirt I'm kind of picturing is made out of somewhat thinner fabric than a lot of these chunkier folds are kind of ruining the illusion of. So that's why the thinning out process here is going to help solve that sort of issue, so to say. Okay, right, and then let's solo that out for now, and we can see here we've got some more. Let's just bring them about the back there as well. You feel free to extend that. Okay, obviously I'm working on folds that you guys won't have. Okay, especially if you've done your own Marvel's Designer sculpt. Sorry, not sculpt, but simulation. Okay, so just try your best to take what I'm showing you here and have a look at some of the folds that I'm picking out, and just go ahead and try and pick out the most similar folds to them in your sculpt. Okay, right, so we've got a pretty good result there. Now what's the next thing to do? It's to tuck the gloves in. So this one's a little bit more difficult. We've got this kind of even surface here. Let's just solve out. So we've got this undefined sleeve here. So what we'll do is we'll go back to the standard brush. Let's smooth this area out, and I'm just going to kind of wedge in this area here. So I'm making a new fold there essentially. So I'm going to follow this line kind of all the way around. So this glove actually tucks in quite snugly, let's say. So let's sort of use that area as well. Okay, and if we bring the glove back, you can see the glove's a little bit off center, and this glove we don't have to worry about. Remember, this is the placeholder glove, okay, because it was just mirrored from the other side there. So what we can actually do is we can just move the glove into the correct position based upon where the gizmo is. There's the gizmo. What are you doing all the way over there? Come here, come where the actual mesh is. There we go. Let's kind of just move it back a little bit. So there we go. So there's the actual, I guess, quote unquote true position it's supposed to have been in, and we can just kind of use the inverse of the standard brush there to push that in. Okay, now it's up to you. You can make the executive decision to leave it like that, but I'm going to pull this part down and make it overhang a little bit, and I'm really going to play into the fact that this part here, you can see the top there really overhangs over the gloves, and this part here as well. I'll make that kind of overhang too. It might be a bit exaggerative, but at the same time it's a good effect, so I like it. And then we'll just do the same for that all the way around, and you can see they've got a little bit of a lip, so just pull that down around the glove. Okay, and then just like we did on the other side there, go ahead, take your standard brush and just kind of poke in any other bits that betray this kind of effect. So a little bit there. Let's mask off perhaps the top lip, and then we'll push in the underside there. There we go. So we have that effect instead. Okay, there we go. So even if you got a bit exposed like this, it's not a big deal. You just kind of draw creases going into the glove because it's kind of tucked in, and it doesn't always have to sag over, you know. But gravity is usually in effect, so depending upon if she, you know, if she was lifting her arms right above her head, this I suppose wouldn't work so much. But for most parts, the character's arms are going to be down, so gravity will essentially take effect just in the way it has done here. Okay, all I'm going to do is kind of push that up a little bit, just have it rest more down on the bottom part of that. And this is a bit of a lump, so I'm just going to push that down a bit. There we go. Okay, something like that. Again, it's all personal taste, so don't get too hung up if you haven't got exactly the same sort of features or landmarks, I guess, in your sculpt. It's really not the idea here. It's just going for what is aesthetically pleasing. Okay. There you go. Right, so all we've done there is we've just kind of hidden the gloves a little bit better. We've kind of slotted them into a kind of socket-ish area on the shirt, but we haven't gone through and really looked at the references yet to add any more folds to the shirt. Now, just as a little precursor before going forward, of course, all this core chest area here and the surrounding area is not going to be essential. We just leave that alone, okay, because it's hidden by the vest. We could do a little something there, we could do a little something there, and we could do a little something behind the satchel just in case she unequips that satchel. We want some detail there too. And obviously we want some detail around the shoulders, on the breast line here, and of course under the armpit, which thankfully it has more or less survived from Marvel's designer. So putting all that detail back in will be relatively easy. We do want to be careful with over sculpting a little bit, but the shoulders are lacking some small definition, but we don't want to make it as kind of detailed as we've got with the elbows here. We've got lots of loose fabric sitting around the elbows, but we have some quite tight fabric as it reaches her shoulders, and this fabric stretches around her chest as well. Okay, so it's going to be pretty tight, just going to get long finish lines, and you may get some small undulations, but you're not going to get heavy weighted kind of folds like we have done here in the elbow areas. Okay, anyway, that's the considerations there for going forward. Let's go ahead and we'll tackle them in the next video.